During the preschool years, or ages 1 to 6, nutrition plays a pivotal role in children's rapid growth. A balanced diet rich in calcium, iron, vitamins D and C, and omega-3 fatty acids is essential. These nutrients support brain development, strong bones, and emotional well-being. Research shows that children with nutrient-dense diets achieve milestones faster, excel cognitively, and display better social skills. Additionally, introducing varied healthy foods early helps prevent chronic diseases and establishes lifelong eating habits. With this foundation in mind, let us now examine the key developmental areas influenced by nutrition during the preschool years. Cognitively, this period marks a significant rise in autonomy and behavioral regulation. Children start to manage their behavior more independently and often express a desire to assist and please their caregivers. Their learning is shaped by their surroundings, family, peers, and media, which influence their knowledge, language, empathy, and social behaviors. Many preschoolers also develop concentrated interests in subjects like dinosaurs or trucks, highlighting their growing ability to memorize and categorize information. Gross and fine motor skills show significant progress during these years. By age 4, most children can hop, jump on one foot, climb stairs, ride a tricycle, and throw a ball overhand. Fine motor skills also advance. They become proficient with utensils, and by age 4, many can peel eggs, crack them, and prepare simple dishes like sandwiches. By age 5, they can measure liquids and cut soft fruits with a dull knife. These tasks enhance independence, hand-eye coordination, and involvement in family routines. As children transition from infancy to toddlerhood, appetite typically diminishes due to slower growth. Preschoolers may eat more before growth spurts and less during quieter periods. Food neophobia, or the reluctance to try new foods, is common. Children often prefer bland, familiar meals and reject strong flavors or unusual textures. To promote acceptance, caregivers should offer the same dish 8 to 10 times in a calm setting, without pressuring the child to eat. This avoids disrupting their natural hunger and fullness cues. Preschoolers often prefer routines and may insist on eating the same meal daily, a phase called food jags. Their temperament also influences feeding. Children with an easy temperament adapt well to new foods, while those with a difficult temperament resist changes. Slow to warm up children may initially reject new foods, but adapt with gentle exposure. The goodness of fit concept reminds caregivers to align feeding strategies with the child's temperament, reducing conflict and making mealtimes more enjoyable. In infancy, children depend on reflexes like rooting, sucking, and grasping. As they grow, these reflexes fade, replaced by voluntary movements. Preschoolers gain control over their bodies, mastering skills like walking, climbing, and using utensils. This shift is essential for self-care, play, and learning. The preschool years are ideal for introducing age-appropriate kitchen tasks. At 2, children can tear greens and rinse vegetables. By 3, they can stir batter or mash soft foods. 4-year-olds can crack eggs, peel fruit, and make sandwiches, while 5-year-olds can measure liquids and cut soft foods with a dull knife. These activities build motor skills, responsibility, and interest in new foods. The preschool years are a dynamic period of growth. By understanding these developmental patterns and responding with patience, routine, and tailored caregiving, we lay the foundation for lifelong learning, healthy eating habits, and overall well-being.
Preschool-age children have a high nutritional demands due to rapid growth and development. They require a balanced nutrition to support health and cognitive function and also to effectively maximize their potential while preventing deficiencies and chronic diseases. According to the National Academy of Sciences 2023, the energy needs of children in this age bracket are around 90 kcal per kilogram per day, decreasing slightly with age. As for their protein requirement, the National Academy of Sciences also recommends an intake of 0.95 to 1.1 grams per kilogram per day of protein for children aged 3 to 8 as It supports tissue growth, repair, and immune function. This also prevents protein energy malnutrition, which can result in diseases such as marasmus, kwashiorkor, and marasmic kwashiorkor. In addition to this, the Philippine Nutritional Guide Pyramid, adapted for young children age 1 to 6 years old, it provides a structured approach for balanced eating by emphasizing nutrient-dense foods in age-appropriate portions. Pyramid's base consists of recommended water or beverage intake of 4 to 7 glasses per day. This is followed by energy-rich foods such as rice, bread, and root crops, which supply carbohydrates for active toddlers. It can be served for 2 to 4.5 servings. The third layer focuses on fruits and vegetables with at least 1/3 to 1/2 servings of vegetables, preferably green leafy vegetables and vitamin A rich squash to prevent iron deficiency anemia and also vitamin A deficiency. And the recommended serving for fruit is 1 to 2 servings, like bananas or mango slices, to provide essential vitamins and also fiber. As for the protein sources, which can be found in the fourth layer, it should include a mix of animal and plant-based options like nuts, legumes, and texturized vegetable proteins. It is also encouraged for children to consume dairy products such as milk, which can be served 1 to 2 cups per day for their calcium needs. The FNRI DUST recommended a smaller frequent meals 4 to 5 times daily to help meet energy needs without overwhelming the child's digestion. Complementary tools like Pinggang Pinoy reinforce these principles by visually representing portions such as half the plate for fruits and vegetables, a quarter for grains, and a quarter for proteins. There is also a guidelines from the USDA called My Plate, which is divided into 4 sections of approximately 30% grains, 40% vegetables, 10% fruits, and 20% protein, accompanied by a smaller circle representing dairy such as glass of milk or a yogurt cup. On top of this, exercise and proper hygiene are encouraged for the child's overall development and well-being. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention 2024, the benefits of these practices include improved academic performance, brain health, muscular fitness, heart and lung health, cardiometabolic health, long-term health, bone strength, and measure of a healthy weight. The Philippine Dietary Reference Intake, or the PDRI 2018, has also provided the guidelines on the recommended nutrient intake of preschool age children per day. So, for the children with the age of 3 to 5 years old, the recommended weight is 17.5 for male and 17.0 for female. The recommended energy or kcal is 1,350 kcal for male, 1,260 kcal for female. And as for the protein, 22 grams for male and 21 grams for female. The essential fatty acid is the same with the other age groups, while the dietary fiber is 8 to 10 for both male and female. Also, the recommended water intake is the same with the energy or the kcal, and 1 kcal is equal to 1 ml of water. For the 6 years old, which is also included in the age range of the preschoolers, the recommended weight is 23 kilogram for male and 22.5 kilogram for female. The recommended energy intake is 1,600 for kcal for male and 1,470 kcal for female. As for the protein requirement, it is 30 grams for male and 29 grams for female. Essential fatty acid is also the same with the other age groups, and also the dietary fiber is different, which is 11 to 14 grams for both male and female in the age group of 6 to 9. And as for the water requirement, it is the same with the energy requirement.
And now for the nutritional requirement for preschool children, we are now doubling on into the micronutrient. So micronutrients, namely vitamins and minerals, are essential for human health, playing critical roles in growth, development, immune function, and disease prevention. Their importance is especially pronounced in preschool children due to the rapid physical and neurological development occurring during this period. For the physical growth and mental development, micronutrients are vital for optimal physical growth and neuromotor development. Deficiencies, even subclinical or hidden hunger, can compromise a child's genetic potential for growth and cognitive development, leading to long-term impairments. And for the immune system integrity, adequate micronutrient status supports the immune system, reducing vulnerability to frequent and severe infections. Children with micronutrient deficiencies are more prone to illnesses, which can create a vicious cycle of undernutrition and recurrent infections. Now, according to the study of Gusila and Prelak of 2018, micronutrient deficiencies are a major concern for preschoolers, particularly iron, calcium, and zinc, mainly because many children fall short in these nutrients, partly due to picky eating habits. Moving on to the micronutrients needed by preschool children, first is iron. Iron is the most abundant micromineral present in the body. It is found in human body in an amounts of 2 to 4 grams. It is estimated that around 65% of body iron is stored in hemoglobin, 10% in myoglobin, and 1 to 5% in enzymes, and the other 20 around 20% is stored in blood and in storage. So iron is an important cofactor in various proteins and enzymes involved in many important biochemical reactions in the body. So iron is important in preschool children mainly because it supports brain development and oxygen transport in the blood. So, for the cognitive development, it is important in functions such as memory and learning. It supports the brain development and oxygen transport in the blood, and it helps in the development of the children's cognitive and psychomotor development. So, iron deficiency anemia is the most common and prevalent nutritional problem among young children, especially in preschool children. It affects the cognitive development of children, causing poor cognitive performance and delayed psychomotor development. As for the food sources in iron, it is mainly present in meats such as poultry, pork, liver, and beef, and fishes. And the other food sources of iron is mainly from plant sources such as spinach and other green leaf vegetables. However, it is not highly absorbable by the body as it is the non-heme iron as compared to the heme iron of the present in the meats, which is highly absorbable in the body. So for the recommended iron intake for preschoolers, according to the Book of Cross and Mahan, it is recommended that around of 7 to 10 milligrams per day of iron is adequate for children's intake per day. However, in the DUSD FNRI Philippine Dietary Reference Intake, it is recommended that preschool children should consume around 9 to 10 milligrams of iron per day. So moving on to zinc. So zinc is the second most abundant micromineral in the body. So zinc is essential for various biochemical processes as it mainly serves as a cofactor for these biochemical processes. So zinc supports appetite, immune health, and wound healing. It is also plays a crucial role in DNA synthesis, gene expression, and cell division, which are all critical for growth. So zinc is important for children mainly because of their rapid development and for their immune system, immune function, and cognitive development. So according to the study of Jiang and China 2022, zinc deficiency coexists with iron deficiency, especially in pregnant women and preschool age children. So deficiency in zinc impairs hemoglobin synthesis as it acts as a cofactor for enzymes involved in heme synthesis, an important component of hemoglobin. So its deficiency contributes to anemia, although it typically does not cause anemia on its own, but may exacerbate when combined with other deficiencies. So for the food sources of zinc, zinc is commonly present in fortified foods and also in natural whole foods such as red meats. So for the recommended intake according to the Book of Cross and Mahan for the preschool children recommended intake, it is required to be taken in the amount of 3 to 5 milligrams per day, and for the FNRI Philippine Dietary Reference Intake, for male, it is recommended for preschool children to have an intake of 5 to 5.1 milligrams per day, and for female is 4.8 to 5 milligrams per day. So calcium is the most abundant mineral in the human body. With 99% stored in bones and teeth, it provides structural strength to bones and plays a vital role in muscle movement, which allows normal body movement by keeping tissue rigid and strong, nerve signaling, muscle contraction, blood vessel function, hormone secretion, and acid-base balance. So for the calcium, it is important for children to have an adequate intake of calcium as it promotes bone mineralization to keep their body strong and improve their overall bone structure and maximize their bone density, which prevents the risk of developing osteoporosis later as they grow older in life. So for the food sources of calcium, it is mainly found in their products such as milk, cheese, yogurt, and in fortified food products such as soy milk, almond milk, and other types of food present in the market. So for the recommended calcium intake of children, for preschool children, it is recommended to have an intake of 700 to 1,000 milligrams per day, according to the Office of Dietary Supplements. And for the PDRI, for both genders, it is recommended to have an intake of 550 to 700 milligrams per day. So next important micronutrient for preschool children is vitamin D. It is an essential for calcium absorption in the intestines. Without sufficient vitamin D, calcium cannot be effectively absorbed regardless of dietary intake. It plays an important role in bone growth, in which vitamin D regulates serum calcium and phosphorus levels necessary for healthy bone mineralization. It does not only help in calcium absorption, but also in other functions. In the immune system, vitamin D helps in modulating monocytes, macrophages, dendritic cell responses, and production of interleukins, and in muscle function, it helps in muscle contraction and relaxation. So for the deficiency, it can lead to rickets, a condition characterized by soft and weak bones and growth retardation in children. As for the sources, the best source of vitamin D is through sunlight exposure. If it's insufficient, there are food sources that can be obtained where vitamin D can be obtained, such as vitamin D3 present in liver, fish, fatty fish specifically, milk and egg yolks, and in plant sources, which is vitamin D2. Plant sources are mushroom and alfalfa. For the recommended intake, according to the DUST FNRI Philippine Dietary Reference Intake for preschool children ages 3 to 6, is the recommended intake is 5 milligrams per day. So another key nutrient needed by preschool children is fluoride. It is for preventing tooth decay and strengthening bones and teeth. It makes the enamel more resistant to acid attacks from bacteria and food, and by promoting remineralization, which reverses early tooth decay. For the deficiency of fluoride, it causes tooth decay in children, and when taken in excessive amounts, it causes fluorosis, which stains the teeth. And according to the American Dental Association, they recommend supplements of 0.25 to zero point 0.5 milligrams per day. And from DDST FNRI PDRI, for males, 0.9 to 1.2 milligrams per day, and for females is 0.9 to 1.1 milligrams per day of fluoride. For the sources of fluoride, it is mainly sourced from toothpaste that contains fluoride in adequate amounts.
So, for the common feeding problems, feeding difficulties are common in young children, especially between the ages of 2 and 6. These challenges can take many forms. Picky eating, for example, is a normal developmental phase where children may become extremely selective, favoring only a few familiar foods and refusing others, often without any clear reason. Another issue is food aversion, which may occur due to a child's sensitivity to certain textures, smells, or tastes. This can make mealtimes frustrating for both the child and the caregiver. Children might also refuse to try new foods, even if they've previously eaten and liked them. This refusal can further limit their dietary variety and nutritional intake. In more challenging cases, these feeding difficulties can escalate into mealtime behavior problems such as tantrums, food throwing, or outright refusal to sit at the table. All of these behaviors can contribute to a stressful and negative eating environment. So, for the potential consequences of the issues or problems that we have discussed, now it's important to recognize that these feeding problems can have consequences if left unaddressed. One major concern is the nutritional imbalance. Children may either be overfed or underfed, depending on how the caregivers respond to their eating habits. Overfeeding can lead to excessive weight gain, while underfeeding may result in growth delays and nutrient deficiencies. Additionally, medical conditions like food allergies, gastroesophageal reflux disease, or GERD, and other digestive or metabolic disorders can make feeding even more complicated. These underlying health issues can impact appetite, digestion, and a child's willingness to eat certain foods. That's why it's so important to consider both behavioral and medical factors when addressing feeding problems. Fortunately, there are several evidence-based strategies that caregivers can use to improve feeding experiences and outcomes. One key approach is to continue offering a wide variety of healthy foods, even those that the child has rejected before. Persistence without pressure can help normalize those foods over time. creating a calm and structured mealtime environment is also essential. That means minimizing distractions like screens or toys and making meals predictable and consistent. When introducing new foods, it's helpful to pair them with familiar, accepted items. This approach reduces anxiety and increases the likelihood of acceptance. Another effective way is involving children in age-appropriate meal preparation, letting them help wash vegetables, stir ingredients, or even set the table can increase their interest in the food they helped create. Caregivers should also model healthy eating behaviors themselves, as children tend to mimic the actions of adults they trust. It's important to be patient. Children may need to see and interact with a new food more than 10 times before they feel comfortable enough to try or accept it. Offering food repeatedly without pressure or expectations is far more effective than forcing or bribing children to eat. In fact, using food as a reward or punishment can actually backfire and create unhealthy associations with eating. It can also possibly affect their future decisions. If feeding problems persist or caregivers are worried about a child's growth or development, it's always a good idea to consult a pediatrician or a registered dietitian. These professionals can help identify underlying issues and offer tailored strategies based on the child's specific needs. So feeding challenges in young children are very common, but with the right approach, they can be managed effectively. Through patience, consistency, and positive mealtime environments, caregivers can help children develop healthy eating habits that support their growth and well-being.
Common deficiencies of public health significance in preschool age. Undernutrition remains a major health issue in the Philippines, with over 3.8 million stunted and 807,000 wasted children in 2017. Chronic malnutrition among those aged 0 to 2 hit 26.2% in 2019, driven by poverty, poor nutritional knowledge, and limited parental involvement, contributing to over 29,000 child deaths annually. Research shows that Filipino children suffer from poor diet diversity and inadequate intake of essential micronutrients. A high percentage of children aged 1 to 4 fall short in iron, calcium, zinc, vitamin A, and vitamin D. And anemia remains a serious concern, affecting 23% of pregnant women and over 13% of both children and under 5 and lactating women. Vitamin A deficiency remains a significant public health concern in many Southeast Asian developing countries, including the Philippines. Its prevalence is influenced by factors such as poverty, limited access to nutritious food, cultural practices, and poor nutrient absorption. The situation is worsened by a lack of education, inadequate sanitation, weak enforcement of food regulations, and ineffective monitoring systems. VAD contributes to increased illness and death, especially among children and women of reproductive age. A severe consequence of VAD is xerophthalmia, which starts with symptoms like night blindness and bleeding spots and can progress to irreversible blindness. Since children often do not get enough vitamin A from their regular diets, additional supplementation is essential. Anemia remains a widespread public health problem globally, with iron deficiency being the leading cause responsible for about 50% of cases. The World Health Organization, or WHO, estimated in 2015 that around 800 million women and children were anemic, with roughly 300 million residing in Southeast Asia. In the Philippines, anemia continues to affect vulnerable groups such as young children and pregnant women. Iron deficiency anemia, or IDA, poses serious health risks such as impaired cognitive development, poor physical growth, weakened immunity, and increased susceptibility to infections, particularly in children. Risk factors include low iron intake, increased iron needs during rapid growth, infections, and chronic poverty. Socioeconomic variables such as low household income, limited parental education, and larger family size also contribute to the prevalence of anemia. Addressing this condition requires targeted strategies like effective supplementation, food fortification, and public health interventions, especially during the first 1,000 days of life, to reduce its long-term impacts on health and development. Malnutrition among children, especially in rural areas, is a pressing but often overlooked public health issue. Recognized by UNICEF as a silent emergency, protein energy malnutrition or PEM is the most chronic and serious nutritional concern affecting Filipino preschoolers. Despite the country's overall food availability, PEM remains widespread due to poor distribution of food within households and socioeconomic inequalities. Children suffering from early malnutrition are at increased risk of stunted growth, learning difficulties, frequent illnesses, and even death. Biologically, PEM can present in different forms. First is the kwashiorkor, marked by edema from protein deficiency. Second is marasmus, characterized by extreme wasting from a lack of both calories and protein. And the third one is the marasmic kwashiorkor, which is a mixture of these two conditions. The body compensates for energy deficiency by breaking down fat and muscle, ultimately leading to significant emaciation. Addressing PEM requires both medical interventions and systemic solutions that improve family nutrition practices and healthcare access in marginalized areas. Child wasting in the Philippines has remained between 6% and 8% over the past 30 years, failing to meet the 2022 goal of reducing it to 5%. Although a significant 2.3% decline was observed from 2013 to 2018, approximately 800,000 children are still affected, putting them at higher risk of death. Factors such as total energy intake, household economic status, and maternal nutrition condition were found to significantly influence children's weight for height scores. These improvements likely played a role in reducing wasting during that period. To sustain and further enhance these gains, efforts must focus not only on individual health factors but also on broader socioeconomic conditions. Additional research is needed to explore other possible contributors, such as child illnesses and their tire variety, to fully address the remaining gap in child wasting rates. Stunting, a major indicator of chronic malnutrition, continues to be a significant issue in the Philippines, affecting children's long-term health, cognitive development, and economic potential. Despite economic growth, the country struggles with high rates of stunting due to factors like poverty, food insecurity, inadequate healthcare, and poor maternal and child care. Despite being on the path to becoming an upper middle-income country, the Philippines continues to face alarmingly high rates of stunting. While the average stunting rate in similar economies stands at 14%, the Philippines report rates closer to 30%, aligning more with the world's poorest nations. Calcium is essential for the development of strong bones and teeth, particularly in children, and as 99% of the body's calcium is stored in the bones. Adequate calcium intake during childhood is crucial for proper bone growth and development, as deficiencies can lead to weakened bones and increased risk of fractures, stunted growth, and in severe cases, conditions like rickets. In the Philippines, calcium deficiency is a growing concern, with over 70% of the population failing to meet recommended intake levels. This deficiency is especially harmful to children who need sufficient calcium for their growing bones. Promoting calcium-rich foods such as milk, small fish with bones, tofu, shrimps, and dark leafy greens is vital to address these deficiencies and support healthy growth in children. The Philippine Dietary Reference Intake, or PDRI, emphasizes the importance of meeting calcium requirements, particularly for preschoolers, to ensure optimal bone health and prevent long-term skeletal issues. Vitamin D deficiency is a significant global public health issue, particularly among children, impacting bone development, immune function, and overall growth. Deficiency during childhood can lead to skeletal issues such as delayed development, irritability, fractures, muscle pain, and slow growth, while adolescents may experience joint and muscle pain that can resemble other conditions like depression. If untreated, severe deficiency can result in rickets in children and osteomalacia in adolescents. Ensuring adequate vitamin D levels is essential to prevent complications like bone softening, poor growth, and fracture risks, with early diagnosis and supplementation being key to managing and preventing deficiency. Zinc deficiency remains a serious public health issue in the Philippines, especially among children under 5, with regions like the Cordillera Administrative Region or CAR showing alarmingly high rates. It is closely linked to stunting and influenced by factors such as poor dietary intake, low hemoglobin levels, early cessation of breastfeeding, and overall poor nutrition, compounded by socioeconomic challenges like low parental education, limited sanitation, and inadequate feeding practices. The problem is even more critical among indigenous communities, particularly in Mindanao, where children face higher risks of malnutrition and mortality due to limited healthcare access, instability, and environmental hardships. These children are also experience significantly worse nutrient intake and stunting compared to their non-indigenous peers.
Good day everyone. Today I'll be presenting the NNS factors that cause the problem to exist among Filipino preschool children, specifically vitamin A, iron, vitamin C, zinc, riboflavin, and niacin deficiencies, as well as protein energy malnutrition or PEM. Vitamin A deficiency remains a significant public health issue in the Philippines. The 2018-2019 Expanded National Nutrition Survey shows that 15.5% of the population is affected, with rural areas seeing higher rates 16.9% compared to urban areas 13.6%. The prevalence rises to 22.4% in the poorest income quintile. Several factors contribute to VAD, including limited access to vitamin A-rich foods, especially in rural low-income households. Poor food systems, low purchasing power, and limited health services exacerbate the issue. Additionally, low caregiver awareness, inadequate complementary feeding, and diarrheal infections further contribute to the high rates of VAD. Next is iron deficiency, one of the most common and concerning nutritional problems among Filipino children, especially preschoolers. According to the 2023 National Nutrition Survey, 11.4% of preschool-age children in the Philippines are anemic, a level that classifies this as a medium public health concern. But when we look deeper, the situation is even more serious. Data shows that 60.5% of these children have depleted iron stores, as indicated by low plasma ferritin levels below 12 nanograms per milliliter, even more alarming. 73.7% of them show signs of tissue iron deficiency as seen through elevated transferrin receptor levels. A previous study by Angela Zagdipa and colleagues in 2018 even reported that 80.3% of preschoolers were anemic overall, highlighting just how widespread iron deficiency in this age group. Several factors contribute to this nutritional problem. First, there is a limited availability of iron-rich foods, especially hemi-iron sources like red meat, which are more easily absorbed by the body. This is a bigger issue in rural and remote areas where people often lack access to fortified foods or a diverse diet. There is also generally low demand for iron-rich or fortified foods, mainly due to lack of awareness among parents and caregivers. Low parental education levels influence not only the kinds of food purchased but also the feeding practices at home. Many families also cannot afford iron-rich diets or regularly access healthcare services that could help prevent or manage the deficiency. On top of that, diets low in animal products and poor complementary feeding practices during early childhood contribute to low iron intake. Products and poor complementary feeding practices during early childhood contribute to low iron intake. Lastly, frequent infections and inflammation in young children can interfere with how the body absorbs and utilizes iron, making the deficiency even harder to address. Protein energy malnutrition or PEM, which remains a significant nutritional problem in the Philippines. According to recent data from the UST FNRI 2021, the Congressional Policy and Budget Research Department 2023 and e-Nutrition, the prevalence of stunting, a sign of chronic undernutrition, stands at 23.6%, which is classified as a high public health concern. Meanwhile, 15.1% of children are underweight, considered a medium concern, and 5.6% are wasted, which falls under the low to medium concern category. On the other hand, 3.7% of children are overweight for height, which is still a low concern but points to the rising double burden of malnutrition where both undernutrition and overnutrition exist in the same communities. Several factors contribute to the high rates of protein energy malnutrition in the country. Inadequate dietary intake remains a core issue, largely driven by food insecurity and poverty, which limits families' ability to provide balanced and sufficient meals. Many households, particularly in rural or disadvantaged areas, have limited access to nutritious food due to poor infrastructure, high food costs, or lack of nearby markets. Additionally, poor healthcare services and limited nutrition education make it difficult for parents and caregivers to make informed choices about their children's nutrition. Frequent infections such as diarrhea or respiratory illnesses also impair the body's ability to absorb nutrients and cause weight loss. Further aggravating malnutrition on the other side of the spectrum, overconsumption of energy-dense, nutrient-poor foods combined with low levels of physical activity is contributing to the increasing prevalence of childhood overweight and obesity. Next is zinc deficiency among preschool-age children in the Philippines. According to a study by Campanzana et al. 2015, about 21.6% of children aged 6 months to 5 years are zinc deficient. With an average serum zinc level of 79.9 microgram per deciliter, the problem is more severe in rural areas and among the poorest households, where the prevalence reaches 33.4% compared to 22.4% in urban areas. This deficiency is mainly due to limited access to zinc-rich foods like meat, poultry, and seafood. Many children also consume diets high in refined rice and processed foods, which lack essential nutrients. Poor dietary diversity and inadequate feeding practices during weaning further worsen the situation. Vitamin C deficiency among Filipino children based on the 2013 National Nutrition Survey, about 60% to 90% of children aged 6 to 59.9 months have inadequate vitamin C intake, as reported by Dene et al. This is mainly due to diets that are high in refined rice, cookies, and sugary foods, but low in fruits and vegetables. In fact, only 17% of children regularly consume fruits, and most of their vitamin C comes from sugar-sweetened beverages, which increase the body's need for vitamin C. Another contributing factor is the limited awareness of how important vitamin C is for immunity and overall health. In short, vitamin C deficiency is a widespread but often overlooked problem that can be improved through better food choices and nutrition education. Next is riboflavin deficiency in Filipino children. Studies show that Filipino aged 4 to 6 years meet only 53.9% of the recommended riboflavin intake, and around 45% of children under 5 have an inadequate intake overall. This issue is more common in rural areas where access to riboflavin-rich foods like dairy eggs and green vegetables is limited. Geographic and economic disparities also affect food variety, with urban children generally having better intake. Many families rely on cheap, energy-dense foods that lack essential nutrients and policy gaps, like weak food fortification programs. Fail to address these deficiencies. Lastly, low caregiver awareness leads to poor feeding practices, making the problem even worse. Next is the niacin deficiency among Filipino children. According to the 2013 NNS and Dini et al. 2018, around 58% of children under 5 have inadequate niacin intake. This includes 57% of younger toddlers aged 12 to 23.9 months and 30% of older toddlers aged 24 to 35.9 months. This deficiency is mainly due to diets dominated by refined rice and limited consumption of niacin-rich foods like meat and legumes. Children from rural and low-income families are the most affected, especially when frequent infections and poor nutrition absorption make the situation worse. Economic barriers limit access to diverse and fortified foods, and although RA 8976, the food fortification law, exists, its implementation is often inconsistent. Lastly, limited caregiver nutrition education contributes to poor feeding practices. So, to summarize the underlying causes of multiple micronutrient deficiencies among Filipino children, we'll look at the key factors identified by Angeles Agripa and colleagues, along with several supporting studies. First, there is low access to nutrient-dense foods, especially in rural and impoverished areas. Limited purchasing power and weak food systems also reduce access to healthier options. Finally, there is a generally low recognition on children's nutrient needs, which results in poor food choices and missed opportunities for proper growth and development. Overall, these interconnected factors show that addressing nutrient deficiencies requires more than just food. It demands economic support, better food systems, and stronger nutrition education at the community level.
Nutrition programs and policies for preschool children. Preschoolers are at a crucial stage of growth and development, and proper nutrition is essential for their physical, cognitive, and emotional well-being. To address malnutrition and food insecurity in this age group, several initiatives have been implemented in the Philippines, and these are the Supplemental Feeding Program and the School-Based Feeding Program. One of the key programs is the Supplemental Feeding Program, or SFP. This program is managed by the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or also known as DSWD. It provides supplementary centers or supervised neighborhood play areas. It is under the Republic Act No. 11037, or also known as the Masustansyang Pagkain para sa Batang Pilipino Act. Children receive nutritious foods alongside their regular meals at home for 120 days. This program ensures that the children get the nutrients they need to grow and thrive. Here is a photo showcasing the Supplemental Feeding Program in action. Another important initiative is the School-Based Feeding Program, or SBFP, which is implemented by the Department of Education, or also known as DepEd. This program specifically targets undernourished children in public schools, including kindergarteners. It provides fortified meals for at least 120 days each year to improve their nutritional status. Both SFP and SBFP aim to combat malnutrition while also enhancing school attendance and performance. This photo shows the school-based feeding program, which gives healthy meals to students. These programs don't just provide food, but they also promote healthy eating habits. For example, meals include nutrient-dense foods like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and dairy products. These are carefully planned to meet the dietary requirements of preschoolers while also supporting their growth milestones. However, implementing these programs comes with challenges. Problems like finding enough funds, managing logistics like food storage and transportation, and addressing diverse nutritional needs are some of the problems faced by these initiatives. But despite these challenges, their impact on reducing malnutrition rates has been significant. In conclusion, the preschool years are at a crucial stage for a child's growth and development, and proper nutrition is essential to support this. Despite programs like the school-based and supplemental feeding programs, undernutrition remains a challenge in many Filipino communities, especially in rural and marginalized areas. Nutrient deficiencies and feeding difficulties continue to affect children's health and learning. And to address this, we need a coordinated approach that improves nutrition education, increases access to healthy foods, and strengthens program implementation. These steps are vital to ensure the healthy development and future potential of Filipino children.